Hello, welcome to the Super 12 Motel Plus. Can I help you?
Yeah, Stan Marsh, I have a room for one night.
Okay, I see you're in one of our Mach 10 Super Plus rooms. Now, of course, we only take Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency because, it's the future. We've all decided centralized banking is rigged, so we trust more in fly-by-night Ponzi schemes.
Yeah, I know.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a wonderful holiday, but it looks like we finally got our wish. We got our cryptocurrency Black Friday sale. Now, you can actually see if we have a look at Bitcoin super quick, we did actually perfectly hit this level that we've had marked out for quite some time, around the $53,800 level. We did have a small bounce, but is the sell-off over? You can actually see if we even go over to traditional stocks, for example, the S&P is having a massive red candle. In fact, it's the biggest red candle that we've had since back here around September 30th. So why is this happening? Well, I think in today's video, we should jump directly into what's going on right now, and then we'll have a little bit of analysis on the Bitcoin chart. However, this could be one of those black swan events. Now, if you haven't heard already, they have found a new variant of COVID in South Africa, and this is spooking many investors because now they're saying that it might be resistant to the vaccine. So we're not really going to get into all that. That's not what this channel's about. But nevertheless, we know that these types of things can often spook the markets. Now, they also mentioned on top of that, we have the variant news rolling out as well. And we also have some issues for Bitcoin, right? They talk about the U.S. tax reporting requirements, China's intensifying regulatory clampdown, and India's sight on a new bill to essentially ban private cryptocurrencies, not to mention the fact that we did get the news about the Mt. Gox trustee finally releasing the Bitcoin to the market, and all of this has finally come to a head, and nevertheless, we do have our Black Friday crypto sales day. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to go over exactly what is happening. Now, in yesterday's video, I spoke about the bullish divergence on the Bitcoin chart, and it was looking pretty good, but these are the types of things that you really can't expect in the market when you have these black swan events, right? So I do want to talk about what's going on in that arena, as well as talk about the Bitcoin chart. So if that sounds good to you, we'll dive directly into that today. And of course, you guys know if you're not subscribed, well, definitely consider it. So having a look right here, you can see that although we have had a massive drawdown, we have still technically not broken the bullish structure. In fact, you could see right here on this very simple green trend line, we could have Bitcoin come all the way down to this level right here. And I have had my eyes on 50,000 for quite some time. You can actually go back and watch the previous videos. And I said that I wasn't 100% convinced that this move was over. In fact, we talked about the possibility of a very boring end of the year for Bitcoin, sideways, maybe even downwards, right? While everyone else is calling for 100K Bitcoin, I wasn't quite convinced because I personally believe that Bitcoin has entered a new paradigm. I personally believe that we are in a lengthening cycle. We are seeing something we've never seen before. We've never seen Bitcoin have this type of a 3-month correction within a bull run, right? And there were the fears of the double top. There also was something else that we spoke about that I do want to bring up again for Bitcoin. So if we just zoom in a little bit, actually technically zoom out a little bit, you can see that we've had these basic trends here for quite some time. Now, the ultimate inflection point that you can see right here, which I do believe to be one of the most critical levels, is where we have this downward sloping resistance meeting this upward sloping support. And that area is right here, right at this red line, almost exactly at the $50,000 level, right? It's actually technically sitting at around 49,500. So this is really where I would be looking for that massive bounce if we were to have one. Now, if we were to break this, that would not be good short term for Bitcoin. That could signal some bearish price action for maybe several weeks or so, because what would happen is once we lose this structure, if we come down into this area, then we're really looking for this next major support that we started way back here when we had confirmation in the beginning of October. And that could potentially bring the Bitcoin prices down to the $40,000 level. Now, I'm not trying to say that that's what's going to happen. I am saying that that is a possibility, because what we had pointed out was that it appeared that Bitcoin was putting in a bit of a rising, expanding wedge. It's a bit of a megaphone. You can see right here, right? It's fanning out. And these are technically bearish patterns, right? And what usually happens is you have a reversal down to essentially where that move started, which, not to spook anyone out, if we were to lose structure, as you can see right here, we've been bouncing around, we've been getting wider and wider, but if we were to fall down here, the measured move would technically be all the way back down here to around $30,000. Now, will that happen for Bitcoin? We don't obviously know that yet. We haven't played out the full pattern just yet, but you can see the last time that Bitcoin came to basically the end of this triangle right here, we did have a breakout to the upside. And you could argue that with the exception of this sort of bull trap that we had right here, we could be putting in something very similar. So it is possible that we do have a fake out to the downside. Maybe Bitcoin does actually hit that $50,000 level, and then we do continue to break to the upside, right? But the thing that we didn't count on was all of this news coming out. Now, I know people are saying, well, what's the big deal? We've already had lockdowns. What's the big fear if we go back into it? Well, the reality is that people fear for these types of situations. If they end up getting laid off from their jobs, right, then they don't have an income. So rather than sit in a speculative instrument, whether it be Bitcoin or crypto, other cryptos or stocks, they go back into dollars. Now, we know dollars are a terrible place to hedge your money, right? You're guaranteed to lose 2 to 3%, maybe even more due to this rampant inflation. But if they're saying to themselves, well, if we go down into another lockdown for another year, then you are going to see these investors saying, hey, you know what? I'll take the 2 to 3% loss on my cash, but at least I know I have money sitting on the side. Now, this isn't my opinion, this isn't what I'm doing, but it is what a lot of investors will end up doing. And unfortunately, if you have a look at what happened with the S&P right here, having this massive tumble, I mean, this is happening live, guys. This is a live red candle as I'm making this video. If we actually come over here and look at what Bitcoin is doing, it's doing something very similar. It has a very similar structure, right? Where we have these two peaks and we have this big, dump happening. And the same thing is happening here in the S&P. So when people say that the markets aren't connected, unfortunately, they are connected. I do believe that long term, Bitcoin will separate itself. It will break apart from traditional stocks. But when it comes to fear, when it comes to greed, when it comes to human emotions, these things tend to happen across the board regardless of the markets. Even gold, which gold actually did have about a 1.3% rally on the news, still was that really the type of rally you would expect over something like this? Not really, right? So, I don't want you guys to think that this is like a bearish video or anything like that. I just want to be realistic. I also want to point out the fact that we have been putting in a lot of rising wedges, and we do know that rising wedges are typically bearish patterns. We've been saying that. Now, as an example, when we had this rising wedge up here, once we broke that structure, we completely fell. And we fell into this second rising wedge that we're forming right here inside of a giant rising wedge. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a bearish pattern inside of a bearish pattern inside of a bearish pattern. It's kind of a little bit of inception right now. So with all of this happening, we have the technicals kind of scaring people. We have this variant coming out, people freaking out over that. And we have all the typical China FUD, India FUD, Mt. Gox FUD, which, by the way, if you want to know my opinion on the Mt. Gox FUD, think about the early investors that got into Mt. Gox, right? The people that were buying Bitcoin back at the time that Mt. Gox was hacked, they're definitely believers in Bitcoin, or at least they're non-believers in the traditional system. So I don't really see why, if the majority of these investors actually got their Bitcoin back, why they would just say, okay, I'm just going to dump it right now on the spot market. It wouldn't make any sense. If they were smart, they would sell OTC as to not affect the price, because you don't want to start crashing the market, because then you can't get as much out of it, right? It would be better to keep the markets level. So I'm not really that worried about Mt. Gox. I think if anything, the news that just came out today probably is affecting the markets more than this Mt. Gox or China FUD or India FUD, whatever news. But nevertheless, I just want to keep everyone aware of what is happening, because as I said, it is possible if we break out of this second rising wedge, that we could go down to those lower targets. Now, I don't anticipate a $30,000 Bitcoin, but I will tell you this. I do have some dry powder stored away, and I will be buying heavy. I will be going into Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of these other cryptos very hard because, these types of markets are backwards, right? So in the real world, green means go, right? Red means stop. But in crypto and, traditional stocks in general, investing, it's kind of the opposite, right? When it's red, like this right here, which by the way, did you guys notice I'm wearing my red shirt to celebrate the red day? Because it is a buying opportunity, right? That is generally when you want to go. That's when you want to buy. And when things are green, that's technically when you want to sell, right? So you have to get into that investor mentality. But you have seen that Plan B has officially come out and said, floor model 98K November close will probably be a first miss after nailing August, September, October. Stock to flow model not affected and indeed on track towards 100K. But as I've been saying on this channel, we are seeing these diminishing returns. We're seeing lengthening cycles for Bitcoin. It doesn't matter what anyone believes. All we're looking at is the data. And the reality is that Bitcoin is not doing what it has done in the past 3 cycles. It is a completely new market. We have all different types of investors. We have countries putting it on the balance sheet. We have family offices. We have huge investment firms getting into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. It is a different market. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have the traditional bear markets that we used to have. And what we do get are sort of these 3 to 4 month periods where price dips 50%. We kind of hang out for a little bit and then we continue upwards, right? That's more of how I'm viewing the market now. Maybe I'll be wrong. Time will tell. But right now, 100K Bitcoin by the end of this month, 98K, that it would have to be an absolute miracle. I've seen crazy things happen in crypto. 100K end of the year, possible. I had set my target on $75,000 by the end of this year. That was more reasonable. That was the target that we had based off of the initial breakout that Bitcoin did about a week ago. But we do have this black swan event. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. Not really sure how you want to take this video. It's not a negative video whatsoever. I just want to realistically tell you that, nothing short term, not even Bitcoin, is safe from these types of black swan events. And as you can see, I mean, the S&P is literally still falling. I mean, this candle doesn't even have a wick. It is still selling as I'm making this video. So we do have to see how things pan out. At the end of the day, I still believe Bitcoin will be the best bet long term. Ethereum, Solana, things like that as well. But Bitcoin really, when you're talking about hedges against inflation long term, that's where I would want to stack my cards, essentially. So ultimately, guys, not bearish. We have not broken any structure. Like I said, we are getting very close. We did hit the level perfectly. But there is still that chance that we come down to this blue zone right here. And ultimately, if that rising, ascending, megaphone pattern, just slipped my head, does play out, then yeah, I mean, it could get a little ugly short term, but there's a lot of people in these markets that bought in and they thought they were just going to throw money at everything and they were just going to make these sick gains. And let's be honest, we have made really good gains. We've had a very good altcoin rally, but right now we may need a bit of a reset, reassess everything, come back to reality, reestablish that, support. Like I said back here, you do want to reestablish this support area right in here, right, for Bitcoin. So the fact that we're coming down here right now, it would be possible that we could see, Bitcoin bounce around this area between the sort of $54,000 to $58,000 level. And we could do this until the end of the year. And I know that that's boring. I know that's not what you want to hear. We want massive, crazy price action, but we could just be establishing that base over the course of the next month and a half before the next major leg up. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I wanted to give you sort of a very realistic analysis. I wanted to show you the bullish case, the bearish case. We do have a black swan event happening today as well. How bad will it get? Will we go back into lockdowns? I have no idea, guys. I don't know what's going on with any of that. The one thing I will say is at the end of the day, Not that I'm a scientist, clearly. I'm just a crazy guy on the internet who you should take everything I say with a grain of salt. But ultimately, I think people are going to just have to come to terms with this the same way that we have to come to terms with things that exist like the common cold and the flu and these other viruses that mutate every year. You know, COVID is clearly here to stay. It's here to, you know, it's going to keep mutating. It's going to keep changing, but we can't keep shutting things down. We can't keep fearing it, right? We have to essentially move on. You know, just take care of yourself, eat healthy, wash your hands, drink water. You guys know the drill, right? This is not this kind of a channel, but long story short, the point I'm trying to make is that these things do affect the markets. Whether or not you or I think it matters, it does. Long term, Bitcoin is looking freaking phenomenal. And if we do have some crazy crash, another 50% crash, we go back down to 30K, I will tell you, I will be buying like crazy, because I do believe that, you know, if we come back in 5 years and we have a look at where Bitcoin is compared to just the way that it's growing, I mean, we're looking at a $500,000 Bitcoin, $1 million Bitcoin in our lifetime. Thinking about Bitcoin sitting at around 50,000, 45,000, whatever happens in the next few weeks, really doesn't bother me, guys. These are the opportunities that you want to seize. You know, you don't have to rush in all at once. Dollar cost averaging is always an amazing strategy. But at the end of the day, guys, nothing has been broken. Structure is still there. We're still putting in higher highs. We're still putting in higher lows. So until that changes, there's no reason for me to turn into a bear. Now, the day that it does, once we do break the structure, I will let you know. But that has not happened yet. So for me, still bullish, still looking for Bitcoin to hit $75,000 by the end of this year. If we do have a massive crash, I will be buying like crazy. And that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a little bit more level-headed than usual, just kind of looking at it for what it is, right? I love you guys. You're awesome. Be safe out there. It is the weekend, right? We love the weekends. We're going to have this big red candle, and then we're going to go into a weekend again, and you know things can get nuts. But that's it for me. Be safe out there, guys. And, you know, if this move is freaking you out right now, you know, then you might be overextended, right? And it's a lesson for us to learn. And yeah, you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. Trust me. I mean, these dips are nothing. We used to get like 30% dips like every other week back in the day. So not a big deal. Bitcoin has seen much worse than what's happening today in the markets. But I do hope you have an amazing start to your weekend. And yeah, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and commenting. And if you guys want to join the free Telegram group, we do have a Telegram group in the description. We just hang out, talk about crypto all day. And of course, if you haven't seen these videos popping up right here, right now, check them out. And until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.